All right, so it's the second week of the Iran war, and it's been a pretty eventful week. There's been a lot of interesting things happening, a lot of new things that we haven't seen in a while. All right, so let's get right into it. So one of the things that we've been noticing this time around, this couple of 2 weeks ever since, has been Dixie, the dollar index. And basically, what's been happening is that it's been going up for some time now. And basically, uh, usually when Dixie goes up, means that people or institutions, governments are selling their assets, and usually assets are denominated in US dollars. So what happens when assets are sold? They they get when assets are sold, they get in they get uh, usually are denominated in US dollars. So every time assets are sold, whether it's gold here or the Nasdaq or Bitcoin, the dollar goes up, right? Because everyone is trying to buy the dollar. So whenever everyone wants to buy something, this price goes up in value. That's like basic level of demand of supply, right? Everything goes, the price goes up whenever, right? So they started to sell on Monday gold as well as Nasdaq and everything, Bitcoin and so on, and into the dollars, right? Into the dollar. So that's what we have seen here. In the Dixie, we have seen uh, a rise, a surge in price in the value of the dollar. I mean, many people, it's basically because of geopolitical tensions and uncertainty. Usually, the dollar rises when there's uncertainty. Investors, governments, and they want to hedge. They want to make sure they have enough liquidity for whatever stress they could go through. So it's a normal reaction of the markets for Dixie dollar to go up whenever there's a downturn on the overall uh, market uh, asset class, right? So that's what we've been seeing here. But what I wanted to make clear is that uh, it's been ranging. So the Dixie it's been raging. Um, so it's been pretty volatile. Every time the big people are selling, the governments are selling, uh, the Nasdaq and the asset class have start to have a knee-jerk reaction. So what does that mean? So every time there's a big selling order, a big selling block coming from the big guys, the algos, the people, the dip buyers on the equities start buying, start logically buying because they usually start to get oversold. So whenever Dixie reached here, so it was basically just selling all Monday long, all Tuesdays long, and when they started reaching the ceiling here, uh, and they saw that it started going down, that's when deep buyers started buying. That's when all ghosts started buying logically, systematic buying. It's a bear market move, in a way. So that's why a lot of people have been chopped. A lot of people have been taking out in stretchers because they don't know uh, this technique that, yeah, I mean, war and everything means that prices are going down. I mean, that's a logical explanation, but it's just a bit harder than that. It's not as simple as that. So there's a lot of deep buying. So whenever you see a lot of selling, like oversold conditions, and whenever it hits this part here, you know, because it's a resistance, right? They suddenly start selling. They start buying these assets again, right? So whenever they drop their right, uh, they buy again. So we can. It is not very pretty visible here on the 1 day, but if we look, I think we have to look deeper. We have to look on the 4 hour, 2 hours to notice this pattern uh, more clearly. You know. So it's been pretty volatile on you can see here that on Monday it's been relatively volatile, then Tuesday pretty volatile, Wednesday volatile. It's been crazy volatile all over the place. Um, People have been trying to short the market on just whatever news they can get instead of realizing what's really going on and basically, you just need to follow the money to understand what's really going on underneath. You need to just follow the money, like follow the dollar and the Dixie, like who are selling and when are they stopping to stop selling, and just follow the way down, just follow the way up. I think it just doesn't get any more simple than that. So we got we got Monday, we got Tuesday, pre-volatile, Wednesday, and so on, right? So we're just gonna go and look a bit deeper, and here you can take a look here. So yeah, I mean we can do basically we can uh we can see that the gold started selling, right? So um market opened on Asia, and then Bitcoin went up because I mean it's been pretty volatile lately, right? They started buying Bitcoin for some fucking reason. Bitcoin's been pretty illogical, very hard to trade. I'm not gonna lie. Lately, so it's been then the New York session opened on Monday. It was relatively stable the first couple of hours. Then Bitcoin started to dump. Like it reached 70K, close to 70K, reached this previous level. So Bitcoin has to be trading pretty much pretty a lot of price action has on it. So I would recommend to look at the 1 hour, the 4 hours to trade Bitcoin at this moment. That's how it's been trading this time now for some time now. It's been pretty. You need to zoom out a little bit to trade Bitcoin better. Because usually these price turns have been taking longer than usual. So it never hurts right now to just look a little bit to zoom out a little bit, to look at the 2 hours, the 4 hour charts to make better trade decisions. Because just like what we said before, that Bitcoin just tends to follow right now the current paradigm, the current Bitcoin conditions is just very one directional. It's just whenever it starts going up, it just follows this route all along. If there's bullish, it just keeps going bullish. If it's bearish, it keeps going bearish. Right now, Bitcoin's been like that. It's been pretty much one directional. That's what we've been talking about on the previous video. So yeah, so where we at? So Monday opens and closes, right? So then the Dixie rose, right? Search here. Then they started selling, right? Sell, 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 sell. They sold assets. They sold all sorts of the Nasdaq. They sold the gold too, right? So they started selling again on Monday. Just one day when they closed. So basically, what's been going on this week is basically that Asia and Europe have been selling, right? And the United States has been buying. We can look here. You can look here on Asia. Asia session starts selling, start dumping. Usually Asia has been the one selling and the one that has been trying to sell. Um, and Europe has been the one that's trying to sell uh, whatever asset class there is, right? So we can take a look at the DAX, the German, and I think it works more in par with the Dixie selling. You can see here, you know. Um, right. So so they started selling basically Asia and Europe started selling pretty much big time. You can see here, right? You can see here all along, So um, pretty much here, right? So I think it's been more on par. We can take a look at the Nikkei or the Japan. Uh, uh, let's take a look at this one. Let's see how it looks like. It basically opens here and it starts selling again, right? It's just, yeah. I mean, it started selling. It started selling ever since they opened. I think this one here um, started selling emerging markets here too on FX. Um, so this is probably an FX move too. But here you can see, and then on Tuesday, Asia, they kept sell they started selling again. Asia and Europe at the same time started selling again, right? And then the market started the market started, opened, right? Market opened here, right? It tried to go up, people started to buy, try to buy, but then, right? So they kept selling here, selling here, they kept selling here. So this was the bottom here. It was the peak of the dollar and the bottom on 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 the stocks and Bitcoin. The Dixie was simply too high for it to keep selling, for stocks to keep selling. So this sell-off and this market has been largely driven by the Dixie, but the dollar is just so strong just to not not it's just been so strong to not it's been too strong to not look at this previous peak here, right? It's been too strong to not influence other markets. The dollar has been too strong for it not to influence other markets. So that's what I've been looking here. So it reached the peak, it reached the previous resistance levels, and then it started to buy again, right? So it's pretty much related to Dixie right now, if you want to trade these things, right? So it reached the resistance, pre-resistance level, which is like 96, 99, close to 100, right? And then they started to sell again. The Dixie started to sell again, and stock started to go up here, right? So the market turned like mid-session, mid-New York session, and closed pretty much uh, higher, on Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been pretty much bullish, while the Nasdaq make a lower low. It tried to go up. It did went up, and it didn't make a lower low on Wednesday on previous week. All right. So, and then the day ended, and the markets opened in Asia. Um, the markets opened in Asia through right, and they started buying. They sold. They started buying Bitcoin for some reason. Bitcoin, like I said, been acting pretty volatile. But Bitcoin not going lower than this, even with the Nixie as high, it's just not going lower than this. It just showed strength. It showed strength, right? And this pump here just pretty much confirmed the previous strength here, right? So that is what I've been looking here, or looking here. So then on Wednesday in Asia, they started to buy, right? And they kept selling. They kept selling, right? They kept selling. Goals, kept ranging, pretty much low volume. It was still above this important level, 500, 5,100, right? So they kept going up, like it. So Asia started buying, started selling. They started buying Bitcoin for some reason. So Bitcoin, like I said, the previous previous video, that has been behaving pretty much pretty predatory. So now that he had the bullish confirmation in here, Bitcoin went up to take out all this shorts that were all the shorts that were pretty much how do I say, take out all the shorts that were pretty much on this level, right? The shorts that were pretty much like people that shorted here, and now the Bitcoin got confirmation, needed the bullish confirmation. It just took the liberty and took all the shorts here, took out all the shorts, right? Because there was a lot of liquidity here, and just, I mean, when you're here, it's easier to take this liquidity out and take the lower liquidity at 60,000 level, right? So it just followed its natural course. It just took them out. That's what they did. So all in all, Bitcoin's been pretty much it's been pretty bullish. It's been staying above it ever since uh, ever since the open. It's been pretty much um, above the 65 level. So it's been relatively bullish. Um, so they took out these levels. There wasn't a huge uh, right. So people started buying again, buying Bitcoin again, and then on the New York session, they kept on buying. So basically, they bought on Wednesday. New York bought, right? New York bought, Asia bought, and Europe bought, New York bought, and they started to turn. They bought too on the Nasdaq because I think, you know, I think this is when Trump said that there was a possibility that the war could end pretty soon or something like that. But anyway, um, and then on Thursday, it was Asia opened, all of Asia started more or less selling, not a lot of volume. Then Europe started also not a lot of like spin. It started to it started to do some resistance here, right? So it was kind of shaky at that point. So then on the New York Open, they started to sell, and now the dollar started to go up again, right? So they started to sell, started to go up again, sell, and then by the end of the session, they tried to buy on the Nasdaq, tried to buy, but then the um, it hit another wall here, my previous resistance at 25 to 100, and then it dropped again. And then it sold off. There was a major confirmation for sell-off, right? Is this what do you say, like a third, like three peaks, like three tops, double, triple top. So then started selling, Bitcoin started selling, and then Friday, Asia started selling too. Europe started selling, then New York pretty much sold. It was 1%. It was quite a drop. They start selling, and the dollar also started to sell. It was interesting. And then they tried to do a reversal here, tried to buy at the mid New York, um, but they basically couldn't. They basically it was pretty volatile, right? They just gave it back to previous levels. So it didn't close the week pretty spectacularly. It was kind of bearish. It failed to do a breakout. Failed to do a lot of things. Failed to keep the level above 25,000. It was just a kind of like an ominous close of the week, right? So Bitcoin just followed naturally the ominous end, the ominous note of the week, and kept selling, 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 selling until Monday, which the Nasdaq opened uh, like 2.6 minus 2.65%, which is a pretty steep dive. And Bitcoin followed. Uh, Bitcoin logically followed. It also did like a dumped pretty as soon as it opened, as soon as Asia opened. Uh, so right, so it went up, it went down. Right here went down. Right, and then Then it went up. It went up. It started buying again, and then it went up. Right? People just basically Asia bought the dip, and Drill bought the dip, and uh, and America bought the dip exponentially. So it just need to follow what the previous markets, the previous sessions are doing. I think it's been pretty much a trend paradigm, a trend, a lot of choppiness, a lot of one trend, one direction. As you just need to be attuned to where it's going, to what the previous session did do. So we got here and Monday. It is Monday, yeah. So then you bought, then America started buying, the Nasdaq pretty heavily. It was a lot of buy, strength. The dollar, opened pretty much sold because of the panic, right? Or panic. Then it started pretty much. Then it reached the previous. Again, that's like we said again. It reached again the previous resistance. So what did we say before? What do we do after the dollar reaches a previous resistance? We buy assets. Once the dollar reaches a previous resistance, we buy assets. That's what the market been doing. That's what they've been doing all over the place. And it's been paying off quite nicely. So when do we buy? We just wait for it. We just wait for the dollar to hit resistance level, right? And when do we sell? We sell when it reaches here. When it reaches some level, when it reaches a previous support level, right? Just makes sense, right? Here. So it was here to here, here. Previous support we're supposed to sell here. So we are supposed to sell here, and we're supposed to sell here, right? We're supposed to sell here, or even here, right? We're supposed to sell here. It was just confirmation. Confirmation. We just need a confirmation, a candle for confirmation. Sell. We need to sell. It's just, I think it's going down, man. I mean, following my logic, as a dollar, as taking the dollar as as a lead to how the market's gonna do. I think the dollar shows that it's now going. It just reached support, and it's gonna go up again. It looks like it. Of course, it can change now that other variables are in play. But it's been more of this way of trading has been more or less consistent. It's been kind of illogical for some people, but it's just logical if you have the right charts opened. You know what I mean? So they bought pretty heavily here. Bought, buy. It's been pretty much like manipulated at some point. So just bought here, and then we are seeing again this thing here, which is not good at all. All right, it's been hitting a ceiling, hitting a wall, just like we did here. So, I mean, it's not financial advice, but you know, what's going on here. So, I believe that if my theory works, that today's session is going to be bearish, keep selling again. So just get your shorts ready. Get your shorts ready. We're gonna see another spike in the dollar, but let's see what happens. So again, continuing, another things, in other words, another variable that's been pretty much very influential on how the market's been moving. It's been oil. Pretty much it has been a pretty important uh, metric to use, signal indicator. So we've been seeing the dollar, the Nasdaq, and gold, and then oil is also pretty much has taken a major role this week. Uh, not some, it's been more important, more prominent ever since, like, not past week, but this week, like Monday, because it basically rose out to $120. It was absolutely crazy, and then it went down. It's because of the strait in Iran just basically got blocked and caused oil prices to go up. So at the same time, it's just pretty bad for the economy and inflation, because if prices just start to go up because the prices for energy and transportation of goods and everything go up in price and just affects naturally all goods and product, all goods that are produced and using transportation naturally go up as well. So again, not pretty good for inflation, and also a lot of estimations that we might see rate hikes this year, owing to the recent oil hike, recent oil hike. So that may cause inflation to come back again. So it's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of things going wrong in this market. So a lot of volatility, a lot of the market's still really heated, So expect a lot more volatility in the future. So it's pretty well market. So we can see here the previous Monday. This is this week's Monday opened higher, and then that's what we saw the dollar as well. So oil went up, dollar went up as well because of the inflation fears. People started selling again, you know, because it, the oil went up and all assets started selling because of now that the possibility of a policy reversal, like a monetary policy reversal, really hammered markets, really affected markets. So that's why oil is taking a pretty active, important, decisive role in deciding the whole uh, destiny, the whole of the market. So what we're going to do this week is we're going to pay more attention to oil for sure, because it's taking a more active role. So now that it went up, the dollar went up as well because of potential possibility that that monetary policy that inflation will go up, right? So it did went up and then started selling because it naturally hit a resistance level here. People were expecting a breakout of things to drop further, but let's have in mind that the Nasdaq touched a previously important huge support level, which was 24,000, which was a very important level. It was just like the support of support. So a bounce was naturally a expect at this point. So to short support was not pretty. It was not a really good idea after all. So um, and then started buying again. Right. So just hit another resistance, hit support. So yeah, you know what I mean. And then this went down again. Started selling the dollar, went up. Started buying, and uh, it's also, I think by Monday, I think Trump said that he would help the Navy or some news like that. He will help the oil carriers get to their destiny, get to their with help of the U.S. military. So that kind of like calmed markets down, calmed the oil price down. So made it go down for a bit, made it have some relief for other, right? And it just kept going down, right? To start to sell again. Because the oil prices are pretty important, very important for everything. Very very critical for politicians, politically speaking. You want a politician wants oil to remain stable, to remain lower price. You can really affect their outcome. It can really affect whether they win the next elections or not. So, and politicians know that they really fear the price of oil more than the dollar or stock market. I think the oil really is king, really dominates them, controls them in a way that no other asset class can. So that's what we saw on on Tuesday. Then Tuesday it was then on Tuesday it was pretty much pretty not a whole lot happened, you know. I started buying on Tuesday too, especially Bitcoin. They bought on Tuesday. They started buying. Holy crap. That was crazy. That was crazy. Just look at this week. The three of them are in the same place. Can you believe that? It's insane, right? Yeah, it's pretty bearish, I would say. So, and then, um, selling again. The dollar started go up selling. So, um, they started to sell oil and they started to buy it again, and started to more or less stay flat, and they've been buying again today. So, um, looks like oil is about to go up again. Looks like the dollar, it's just like they go up in tandem, right? So dollar and oil start more or less go up in tandem, right? So, and whenever these two go up in tandem, it's almost certainty that all other equities above Bitcoin and gold will take a hit. So those are my predictions. That is what has been playing out right now. Uh, That's what's been happening right now, and yeah, it's pretty much. We went through an overview of the previous week and this couple of few days ago too. I also made a prediction of how the market is going to behave, considering my theories and considering the theories I just talked about. So I expect this Wednesday to be a sell day. If all things equal, if the keeps climbing higher, the oil keeps climbing higher too. Um, so I think oil is, yeah, it's 1% up. We might see some crazy things happening today. So yeah, I think that will do for tonight for today. I would say that yeah, I mean just what did it change? Just have more indicators on the computer. Just have more indicators. There's different indicators. Looks like trading has become more macro oriented. It's not isolated anymore. So we have to pay attention to other assets as well because of the war and other things happening. So we can also take a look at VIX, but maybe we can do that next week. So yeah, so all right, so just gonna leave it here and take care.